Starting. Okie dokie. YouTube is live, I think. Yes, it is live. Hey, YouTube. I hope you're doing very, very well on this fine Wednesday. Yeah, on this fine Wednesday. That was a little bit awkward. Yeah, I just wanted to pop on the camera. I realized that I have not necessarily been overly active, and I wanted to kind of say hello primarily, be like, hey, I exist, I'm still here, haven't disappeared. But second of all, to sort of get a few things off my chest, get a few things that are weighing on my mind, or not weighing on my mind, but they're on my mind. I want to kind of get them off my mind. So yeah, I guess couple quick life updates. I've been in my own bubble for the past while. Hello from Russia. I'm seeing the live chat on YouTube here. Yeah, I mean, I've been in my own bubble. I've been really in my own world in a lot of ways. Like, it's interesting if we were to look back, at kind of where I was before, probably 6 months ago in my content, something like that. I was really into sharing content, creating content, building the audience, collaborating, all of that good stuff. And by the way, I still am, to be perfectly honest. That's still a really big focus. But it's interesting, ever since my decision to go to India, I've been really focusing a lot on different things that maybe don't get noticed, or don't see, for example, online or on like Instagram, things like that. So for example, I've been really focusing, when I was in India, I was focusing on my Gujarati, right? I was focusing on Gujarati. I mean, I obviously shared a lot of stuff on Instagram and YouTube. I shared a lot of it, but that was really something that was not for the purpose of my YouTube. It was not for the purpose of a podcast. It was not for the purpose of a personal brand. It was not for the purpose of business. It was just for the purpose of Azren wants to learn Gujarati. Azren wants to improve his Gujarati. I want to do that, right? So I made a decision that was for personal reasons and had double zero connection to business or anything like that. Then we continued, even like today, or currently I'm studying Mandarin, right? I've gone back to Mandarin, focusing on my writing in Mandarin, focusing on the reading, even getting back into some of the speaking and listening. And it's not for business reasons, just because Azren wants to do it. As simple as that, right? Or even there's a lot of it. Like, I've been playing badminton twice a week, not for business reasons, not for work, not for anything, just because I like it, number one, but also equally important and slightly more important, it's just good for my health, really good for my health. And I've been, for anyone who's followed me since 2016, you guys have probably noticed, right, that I've been talking about my health more often. It's been a bigger focus, slowly but surely, more and more focus on it. This is the most active I've been now that I'm playing badminton. It's the most active that I've been. Hello, all the live viewers that just joined on YouTube. It's the most active with the badminton that I've been ever since I was a teenager. Like, isn't that crazy? Ever since I was more active when I was 16. It's almost 10 years ago. 10 years. So I'm the most active today that I ever have been in about roughly 9-10 years. That's insane. It's like absolutely nuts. It's crazy, right? So that's really good. That's not for business reasons. I don't even care to talk about that on camera or show you. Obviously, I talk about it on Instagram and Snapchat sometimes. Like, I bring it up, but it's not like I'm just doing a lot of things that are not related to work, that are just related to stuff that's personal for me, that I like, that's for other aspects of my life. By the way, I see the question in the YouTube live chat. Give me a second. I will get to it. Give me like 2 minutes to finish this thought. Then I'll get to your question. Anyway, it's what was I saying? Yeah, it's just crazy because ever since I've been roughly 18 years old, ever since I was 18, I don't know why I put 8 fingers up, but 18, a lot of the decisions I made were for work purposes, business purposes. That was the holy grail. That was the North Star. That was the main focus. That was it, right? My work was everything, and like trying to do business stuff was everything. And obviously school too, because I was in school when I was 18, but even school was almost secondary to my work. After I graduated, similar, my life was completely defined by work. And so everything I did, or 80% or a huge percentage, was work. I worked till 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m., right? I wake up a little later. I wouldn't wake up at 8, 9, 10, but I might wake up at 9:30, right? Start work at 10:30, work till midnight with some breaks, obviously. And that was it. Like, I worked 7 days a week because I liked it. That's what I wanted. And now, although that's still true, I still love my work. I still love the content. I still love teaching. I still love all of it. And really, I still like it all, right? I still like the marketing stuff. All of it's really fantastic. It's amazing. And there's other things that have been pulling at me, right? Like, health has been pulling at me more and more ever since middle of 2016, more and more and more. So I've been doing a little bit more, a little bit more. And now I made a real decision of going 2 days a week. I'm done work at essentially 6. That's weird for me. It's so strange to finish work at 6 p.m. That's like, I've never, I mean, ever since had a job that required like any level of responsibility, I've rarely finished work at 6 unless it's like a Saturday. Think about that. On Saturdays is where I might finish at 6, or maybe on a Friday I might finish at 6, 7, 8, right? That's just nuts. That's not normal. And yet that's what I'm doing now. It's crazy. Or even like just my studies. Like, I've been, ever since, Gujarati, that was like studying, right? That was a time off from work. I'm now going back to university for Mandarin. I'm just doing more things that are not directly tied to work. And you guys may or may not notice it. I notice it though. I notice it. I don't spend, there's not much edited content that I put out anymore. Not a lot, right? Much more, way more live streams because it's easier. Pop on a camera, talk. Way more, actually, podcasts, weirdly. I've been liking the podcasts. I don't know why. They're fun. That's actually been like my primary content thing lately, actually, podcasting, which is weird, but anyway. And yeah, I've just noticed it. It's just interesting to notice how my attention is shifting. So I don't know what that means. It's not a bad thing. But I guess I'm making this here because I want to just calibrate that for my own brain. And I guess just talk to myself and be like, talk to myself and help myself realize this is kind of where things are at, I guess, if that makes sense, because it's so different for me. It's weird. It's just weird not to have work as the primary focus, especially when I still have things I like. It's weird for me to go, okay, I want to really accomplish X, Y, Z with work. And like, that's where my brain is at. By the way, I know those questions are there in the live chat. I'm getting to them. I promise I'll get to them soon. But like, it's weird that I have things that I really want to get to for work that require work hours and that require my time and full attention. And yet there's other things I want to do too. And it's a weird balance. Anyway, let's get to one of the questions here. So live chat and YouTube, what apps do you use to practice speaking? Apps to practice speaking, I'd recommend, let's see, italki is a good one. italki.com is a really fantastic one. I would recommend as well, any kind of language exchange application is a good place to start. If you can afford it, if you have a little bit of money, you can pay for a private tutor and they will help you practice speaking. Other things for speaking would be, even, this is not necessarily speaking, but it is conversation. If you want to practice conversation, joining any online communities, whether it's on YouTube, on Facebook, I think this is the Russian viewers. So let's say VK. I know you guys use VK in Russia. I don't know much about VK, but you can join forums, right? Join online groups or in your own city groups that are talking about something that, first of all, you're interested in, and second of all, that the group speaks the language that you're trying to practice. Does that make sense? Like, do that. I think it'll be really helpful for you. Hopefully that helps. Speaking of Russia, actually, there's a disproportionate percentage of my audience that is Russian. And this is where it's crazy, right? Because I need to do something about it. And yet my attention is not 100% on like content and stuff right now. So I don't do anything about it. Isn't that weird? Just a little fun tidbit. Also, going back to the original conversation. Hello, Rasmus. in live chat. Hello. Also, an interesting thing here would be it's similar. I was saying how a lot of the stuff I'm doing right now is not necessarily for work purposes, so you don't see it online. You don't see a lot of it. The other thing that's interesting is how much I do that now you might not see on my YouTube or like podcast or Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. So I do a lot more locally right now, and the local stuff doesn't always go online. Like I keep it local. Like it's online, but not in the sense that it's in different places. It's not places that you guys in this audience would be following because it wouldn't make sense for you to. It wouldn't make sense to be part of my, for example, my local Facebook group. Doesn't make any sense. You don't see the local ads I run. You don't see a lot of that. You don't. It's just not. You know, just I share it in different places. So it's just interesting. Let's yeah, I mean that's kind of that's some of the main stuff here. A couple things that are language related I want to talk about or get off my chest too. Oh, last thing before I do the language stuff. So I guess just bear with me, not bear with me, but yeah, I guess bear with me. Bear with me. Like it's just a different phase right now that I'm going through, and essentially, you know, this is one of the cool things. Essentially, one of the things I like this a lot, despite the fact that it might hurt my numbers, like viewership numbers and all of that stuff. Despite all of that, my online social networks is essentially a virtual representation of me. And obviously, everyone's social networks is a virtual representation of them. That's just how it works. But for me, it's just like I want to keep it as true to what's going on in my world as possible. So, you know, like there's way more. So, for example, like I've just been making way more videos where I've not showered. That's just real. Like I haven't not showered today yet. I look ugly. It's just, but it's kind of what I am. I'm not like it. Just in this moment, that's the right decision to make this video because I was thinking that man, I've made a video or a podcast I made, but video I haven't made in quite some time. I should quickly pop on and do something. And I knew if I went and showered and got ready, I would not be in a headspace to make something. So, I mean, or just like way more live stuff on YouTube, way less edited stuff, just because my focus is elsewhere. Yeah. Let's do a quick little rant and oh, hang on here. One more question just came through. Is it worth improving your pronunciation and accent when you're intermediate? Sure, if you want to, go for it. Absolutely. If you want to, your decision. It's worth it if you want to do it. It's not worth it if you don't want to do it. One of the two. I guess it depends. Also, I'll elaborate a little bit. For improving your pronunciation, I also think about why. Like, is it like why do you want to do it? For example, if you're struggling getting a job and you live in the USA or Canada or something, yeah, maybe you should work on your pronunciation because that might help you get a job because you sound more natural. For sure, go for it, right? Or if it's like, but if it's just like, I don't know, if it's just like something that someone told you to do but you don't want to do, well then don't do it. Like, yeah, up to you is the big answer. And also weighing out why, what's the purpose. That's kind of hopefully it helps you a little bit. Anyway. Another question came through. If you were in a job where your job is solving the IT-related what is this? If you were in a job where your job is solving the IT-related problems of clients, how would you go about learning a language? If you're in a job where you need to solve IT-related problems of clients, so I'm in a job, I work in IT in a different country, or I need to speak a different language. How would I go about learning the language that I require, I assume? Okay. I'd just ask people. I'd probably ask my coworkers. I'd probably even beforehand, I'd probably find someone online who's worked in IT in that language, talk to them, ask them what I need to know. Might even talk, if I had a boss, I might even tell the boss like, hey, you've hired me. I want to just like I want to get a couple of key terms I should know. Yeah, I'd probably make it, you know, I'd probably make sure that before, actually, here's a thought as well. Depends on when this job is starting. I mean, I assume the boss would know that I don't know IT terms, right? Like I don't know the vocabulary for IT in that language, I assume. So I would probably be really upfront, and so that maybe they can even help me. Maybe they can even give me some of the terms. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing really complicated there, I think. So let's do a quick Oh, quick little thing actually, here's a quick little thing I can share too. What was I gonna say? Right, I remember. So I've noticed something really weird. Hey Andy, in the live chat, I've noticed something really strange, which is that I've spoken French for roughly 20 years, Spanish for roughly 9. But here's the weird thing. This happened super recently, by the way. It was kind of strange how it happened. And it's happened before, and it's like phases. It kind of goes in and out. But recently, less than a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, I should say, my brain decided, you know what? English and Spanish are equivalent. I can talk in English and Spanish literally equivalently. Literally, for me to slip into Spanish right now, no es difícil. Es super fácil, pues, ¿no? Como, no es difícil, pues. It's not hard. Very easy. Boom. Brain can switch. Equally French and English. That's happened before. It used to be French and English. I could switch very quickly. Like, it happens. But my brain decided, hey, Spanish and English, equal. Boom. But French, kind of gone further back in my brain. I can speak French, but for example, if I need to jump into French, difficult, right? Not difficult, but it would take me a few minutes to get into it. And for all intents and purposes, people watching this or listening to this, you guys probably wouldn't notice any difficulty. I just feel it in my brain. But Spanish, for example, no prompt, boom, I can jump in. It's super strange. It's funny how that happens. I think the root was that I had a big day in Spanish where I was hanging out with Peruvians for like an entire day, and it was like all Spanish, 0 English for a whole day. So I think that kind of did something to my brain where all of a sudden, español es muy fácil, pues, no? Es super fácil español. So yeah, just interesting, really easy. And it's just interesting how languages can float around in your brain that way and switch in popularity and all of that stuff. So, yeah, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, yeah, right. Also for Mandarin, it's funny how Mandarin's such a big focus for me now. Oh, here's a good language learning advice. 19 minutes into this whole, or 18 minutes into this whole thing here. Anyone who's made it this far, congratulations. This will make the whole 18 minutes worth it, I think. I recommend you guys actually get really obsessed about, man, I should make a separate video about this. Anyway, I highly recommend you guys get really obsessed about your language. What I mean by that is, let's look at my Mandarin, okay? I'm doing Mandarin. I do daily writing practice, about 30 minutes to an hour, something like that, depending on the day, right? Number two, it's not just that. The amount of Mandarin thinking I'm doing in the day, just as I'm driving, just about like, oh, I wonder how this works, or like talking to myself in the shower, or like even as listening to music. Like there's a lot of Mandarin, passive Mandarin that's happening just in my brain or around me in my surroundings every day. So my brain is really in Mandarin mode, which, tangent, but important tangent, which also makes it more difficult to access the French, actually. Like English and Spanish, for some reason, has become like a first language. Gujarati's actually kind of in there too. I'm just not as fluent in Gujarati's English and Spanish. And then Mandarin is, even though I'm less fluent in Mandarin has taken the spot of French. My brain will go to Mandarin first instead of French, and then French has kind of gone in last place. Isn't that strange? Super strange how, even though I'm more fluent in French, it's kind of the last place in my brain. Super, super duper strange. But anyway, you just got to create that obsession. It's like creating an environment. Anyone on YouTube, you guys are going to see an Ask the Language Nerd come out next week, or probably next week, depending on when I can edit it all. Yeah, I'll talk about that. But your environment's really important. Podcast people, I know you're listening here. I made a post about that recently. So it's something that, it's a big one. You got to have that in your environment. Another question came through here. What if the language has spoken and written forms that are not similar? For example, in English, there are minor differences like I am and I'm. But some languages like Finnish have very different forms, especially for verbs. And talking with written forms is weird, but sadly, a lot of our learning from textbooks is based on the written form. So I guess the question overall is like, what do you do when the writing is different than the speaking? Yes, that is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I've solved that. I'm trying to think how I've solved that. I've never had like Finnish, for example. I know nothing about Finnish, unfortunately, where the writing and speaking is completely different, but I can speak to like French has a lot. I think every language has some of that where like writing and speaking is different. It's always different to some extent, right? With the knowledge I have so far and the language I've studied so far, the way that I've solved that is, I guess I've always, so I'm just going to talk out loud. I've never thought about this before. I'll talk it out and try and find a good solution. By the way, YouTube, there's a good chunk of you watching right now. If you like the video, oh, someone actually just liked the video right now. As I said that, crazy. I would appreciate some likes. I need the positive or negative feedback. I need the feedback. I've noticed that. Yeah, I need the feedback. It's important. Anyway, I'll just talk out loud here. By the way, if you don't like it, feel free to click dislike. I don't really care, but I need a feedback. Give me something. Give me some kind of feedback. Comment. Give me something. Anyway, so where was I going? Right. So off the top of my head, as I'm like just thinking about it, I think I've always learned a more formal style first, and then I'll jump and then I'll learn less formal later. So if it is a question of formal versus not formal, I guess I'd be learning the more written way first, and then I would jump into less written way, more of a spoken way, if that makes sense. That's kind of my tendency. I've usually done that. The way I've learned a more spoken way is usually with native speakers, whether it's talking online, traveling. That's just something good that's worked for me. Worked for me quite a bit. So I would recommend that. And I would also, I'm someone who, I listen a lot. I've never thought about this too much. I mean, I've thought about it a little bit, but I've really been thinking about it recently. I listen a ton when I'm learning languages. It's a big part of my process. Like, it's a lot of listening because I am a auditory learner. Since I listen so much, I catch things, especially because songs, I will listen to the same song probably hundreds of times just over the course of time. And you just start to catch things, right? Like if you're someone who listens to stuff as much as me, eventually you'll catch patterns. At least I just I don't know if it's natural or not, but I catch patterns. I'll be like, I keep hearing X. I keep hearing in Spanish, people drop a lot of S's. What the heck is going on? And then you can catch it like, oh, people don't always pronounce their S's. Oh, interesting. Depends on the region. Oh, cool. Or like sometimes, I think interacting with other speakers is a good way as well, because people will correct you on the things you're saying that don't sound natural to them or don't sound like this is how you should or shouldn't talk. So that's another way to learn or differentiate the written versus spoken. So Andy in the comments says, you can hire an italki tutor or find a language exchange partner and ask them to teach you the spoken language. Yep, for sure. I think that's just another variation of like kind of what I'm saying, like talking. Yeah, it's actually very practical. I like how Andy phrases answers. I like that. He's like a very articulate dude. Anyway, it's 1:15 p.m. This has been going for about a little over 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 24 minutes. So let's wrap it up. Gone long enough. Thanks for listening, watching, etc. I really appreciate your guys' attention. Appreciate that you watched this. And let's, I guess we'll connect. We'll chat later. Bye for now, guys. See ya.